I'm starting a new series called Memory Mistakes. These are mistakes I have made or mistakes I hear people make all the time. And I want to share them with you so you don't make the same mistake, because why make the mistake when you don't have to? So today's mistake deals with keeping your stories, your imagery simple. Okay, that is a mistake. Now, there are times when you should keep it simple, and let me explain that real fast. So for memory competitions, you have a specific amount of time to memorize X amount of information. So let's take cards, for example. In this specific card event, you have 1 minute to memorize a deck of cards. Well, guess what? You have a little bit over a second per card. And so you don't have enough time to create these stories, have these images be really dynamic and crazy, because there's not enough time. So right here I see Kobe, boom, have to move on to the next card, and I see Soli. And so there's not enough time to create these crazy dynamic stories that would be long lasting. Because what happens is, for these memory competitions, you don't really care about remembering this information later, right? You don't really care about memorizing a deck of cards 2 weeks, a year later. So that's why when it comes to memory competition or information that's kind of similar to it, say that you're trying to cram for a vocab test right before or during lunch, right before your next class, you're probably going to do speed, use whatever comes to your mind. But if you don't actually go back and take your time to create those stories, make them really creative, make them dynamic, those vocabulary words that you learn won't stick a week later. Okay? So keeping your images very simple happens because you don't have enough time to make these crazy great stories. But let's say, for example, you're learning all the muscles in the body. And so as you could tell, just look at this, okay? You have so many different muscles, and then I don't know how to say most of these words. And so it's so much more complex. And this information, I assume you would want to remember forever. And so you would take the extra time to make your imagery very fun, very scary, to whatever emotions you want to add to it. Make it dynamic, make it very clear, because this is information you want to remember forever. A deck of cards, and I'm being honest, I don't care if I memorize a deck of cards and forget it the next day, or forget it even after 10 minutes, you know? I don't care, as long as I can recall it for that specific event. And so information like this, learning all the muscles, I would want to remember that forever, because the amount of work I would have to put in to making all these images and, making up all the systems and methods to actually store that information, of course I would want to remember that forever. And so you create your stories a lot better. And so let's say, for example, you have a tree and a cloud. And maybe a story you have is a tree is riding in a cloud. Okay, that's pretty good, but you're probably not going to really remember that later on once you go through all of these different muscles, right? And, there's hundreds upon hundreds. And so that imagery is not really going to stick out. So maybe, I would picture a cloud or a tree riding a cloud, and every time the tree smacked the cloud, it rained Twinkies. Okay, boom. That just making it absurd, making you smile, and you're like, man, this is just absolutely weird, makes it more memorable. And so there you go. That's why you don't want to make your images and stories simple, because most people who want to use memory techniques, who want to have a better memory, aren't going into competition. They want to remember what they read in a book or medical information or languages, whatever it may be, long-term information. And so that's why you don't want to make your stories, make your imagery simple, because it will hurt you. Believe me, if you go through all this and have very simple stories, you're going to forget it by, the next muscle group that you're going to, because this is something not easy, especially when we have all these complicated words. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If they relate to any memory mistakes you might have or have made and want them explained, like why am I making this mistake and how can I fix it? Because I want to help you fix any mistakes you come across. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.